Well, Nobel Prize is a wonderful prize, wonderful recognition. Suddenly you are in the limelight, suddenly all the floodlights are on you. Whatever you say, it goes out to many, many directions. I say the same thing which I used to say before the Nobel Prize. At that time, oh, this is stupid, this isn't going to work. This is a crazy idea. But I say the same thing now, but it's all of a sudden looks like it's these wise words. Oh my God, they really understood what it is. So in kind of appreciation of the words, appreciation of your position changes dramatically after the recognition the world gives you through the Nobel Peace Prize. So while you are enjoying that attention, you need to communicate as best as you can, because that attention may not be prolonged. It may die down soon. So we want to take advantage of that, and I try to explain more and more what we do. And one of the ideas that I've been, in the last 10 years particularly, I've been very strongly pursuing is the concept of social business. Business to solve human problems. It's a non-dividend company. You create to solve problems. In the beginning, people get a kind of a funny feeling what that is, because business means making money. That's what we understand about business. Now, how can you do business without making money? So I try to explain the whole idea, whole vehicle or a tool of business is a very powerful tool. You can use this tool to make money, personal money, and maximize your profit. This is one use of this tool. You can use the same tool to solve the problems as you see around us. Take off the money-making part of into it, and suddenly you see it's a very powerful tool. So we are using that. So what we do is actually objectives of philanthropy, mechanism of a business put together. Then it becomes a powerful idea. In philanthropy, money goes and does a wonderful work, but money doesn't come back. So you have one-time use of your money. But if you transform it into a business module to achieve the same objective, and which we are calling social business, then it becomes very powerful, because money goes, does the work, and it comes back. Then you send it back again. So you can reuse and recycle the same money over and over again. So it becomes very powerful. So that's the idea of social business. So that's catching up. Now many people are moving into that direction. Big corporate bodies are coming to us, joint ventures to create social businesses. Young people love that idea because they don't like the way the world is moving. They want to see a new kind of world where all the problems we see around us will not be existing. They are able to cut them down, eliminate them. And they see this is a vehicle that they can use. They have tremendous creative power. They want to use this creative power to solve the misery of people, to solve the problems, dangers of this planet in a business way, in a sustainable way. That's the whole idea. Make it sustainable, make it expandable. So during these 10 years, I would say this is something which is growing, and I'm very happy the positive response I get from around the world.
Fantastic. With the knowledge of today, is there anything you would have done differently during your road? You said, if I could do it again, I would probably take that road or that road.
I guess not, because what I have done, I think it was a well-chosen path. I created an institution, which is, I think, was the right decision, rather than just do it in an informal way. So we created a bank, and that impacted in the whole banking system. So I can challenge the whole banking system now. This can be done. You cannot just walk away, say it cannot be done. And then this is spreading around the world. So there are many unfinished work. It's not something that I go back and do again. It's just things that you do, but there are things that could not be achieved yet. One of the things that we still can find a way to persuade governments to create a legislation, a legal framework for creating bank for the poor. Because today what we have is actually legislation or a legal framework to create bank for the rich, which is available everywhere. But there is no framework for creating a bank for the poor, which is a different kind of structure. And that's what the Grameen Bank is. It's not the traditional bank. It's a completely different system. So we need to persuade governments to come up with that legal home. Once we can create the legal home, then it's become easy for people to do that. Today, most of the microfinance is done by NGOs. It's a very difficult task for them because they cannot take money as a deposit. So they have to find a donor, they have to find a lender to find the money. So it becomes very limited. If they had an opportunity to create a bank for the poor, then you just take deposit and lend the money. You don't have to go to any place. And that's what Grameen Bank is. Grameen Bank creates its own legislation. It's a bank, so it takes deposits and lend money to people. They don't have to go to anybody to find money for themselves. So this is a route that still needs to be covered, needs to be fulfilled. And then we moved into the social business. It is an outcome of the growth of Grameen Bank itself. We saw a lot of other problems which are remaining unaddressed. So we wanted to address that. Every time I tried to address a problem, I created a business to solve that. So it became a creation of company after company to solve problems. And now that became a concept by itself, the social business. And I'm very happy that gradually I'm getting good response and many people are paying attention to it. I hope this becomes a part of academic curriculum so that when you study economics, you talk about two kinds of businesses, one business to make money, another business to solve problems. Then young people has to decide which direction he or she will go. Should she work for a money-making company or should she work for a problem-solving company? It's up to her or up to him to decide. Today, there's no option. So only way you can do, find a job with somebody who makes money. So you work all your life to let somebody else make money, and you don't know why you do that. Whether it's good for the society, whether it's good for the planet, those questions are not clearly answered. So this have to be clearly answered and clearly laid down, and I make my own choice how I should do. Should I create a business to make money for myself, or should I create a business to solve the problem that I see in front of me? This is a choice to me. Or should I mix it? I'll do both. There's no restriction on that. So in how much proportion I should do that? These are the questions I have to answer myself.
Thank you. As the famous Dutch football player Johan Cruyff used to say, do you know him?
No.
No, anyway, he said you have to be crazy first before you are a genius. You are a genius maybe today, but have been crazy for many years.
Well, I've been crazy, that's all. I don't know whether I'm a genius, but I've been doing things which people didn't see that it's the right thing to say, right thing to do. Yeah.
In 2004, before the Nobel Prize, you gave a very valuable advice to my business partner, Wim van der Beek, who was at the time just starting Goodwell, our social investment firm. You told him to build the business step by step, as no startup had ever failed because it went too slow, but many have failed because they went too fast. That was a very good advice. What advice would you give to social entrepreneurs or people starting in the impact business today?
I talk about social business, so let me address it in that way. I tell social business, find the biggest problem you see in front of you, human problem, and focus on that. Take a thin slice of that problem and try to solve the thin slice. Don't try to solve the whole problem. Then you'll never make it. It's so easy to solve a tiny piece of it. Once you can solve the tiny piece of it, you have conquered the world. All you have to do is to now repeat it, and the whole giant of a problem will disappear very soon. So think big, start very small.
Thank you. That's a very good quote. Do you see a specific contribution and impact of women entrepreneurship?
Fantastic, because somehow we tried to convince people in our educational system and every way that we have created over time that people are born to work for somebody else, because entrepreneurs are very limited in number, very rare in human quality. So everybody else don't have that quality. All they can do work for some entrepreneur. I'm saying this is absolutely wrong. And my position is every human being is an entrepreneur. When you say that, then you are not thinking about men as an entrepreneur. You're talking about every human being. Every woman is an entrepreneur. When I started Grameen Bank, this was a big battle because people refused to accept that poor women could be an entrepreneur because she can only work under the direction of somebody else. I said, that's wrong, because she's doing that because that's how society has taught her. So she never had an opportunity to feel herself as an independent person. So what we call microcredit is not just a tiny amount of money, it's a tool to make her feel that she can make her own decision. And once she learns that she can make her own decisions and she can take care of herself, she transforms herself. So microcredit is a transformative process. It transforms the person. So when we say we have 8.5 million borrowers in Grameen Bank, you think it's a client kind of thing. These are entrepreneurs, people who never thought that they could be entrepreneurs. So they have changed themselves. So in the process, the whole women in Bangladesh today feel that they can do as much. So Grameen Bank lends out over $1.5 billion each year, and money is growing. But all this money is coming from these 8.5 million borrowers who are also savers. They have their own bank account. For the first time, they realize that they can have a saving. They don't have to wait for money to come from outside. They have their own money to do whatever they want to do, and they own it. Ownership is concrete. Ownership is 100%. Nobody can dispute about it. When in a family, in a Bangladeshi family, women practically don't have ownership on anything. It's the man in the family who owns things. And for the first time, she found out she can own very clearly, legally, and very well defined. So that gives her a dignity and confidence in herself. So that entrepreneurial ability is coming up. The little daughter is growing up. She doesn't feel that she is any less than her brother because she has the same opportunity. Her mother showed it. And now she sees that she can grow up as an independent person. So that's entrepreneurship, which is across that people that we left out in our system. Even when you talk about in the developed countries, rich countries, if you look at the big corporations, the CEOs are still men. In the USA, they were talking about hardly 10% of the CEOs of big companies happen to be women. So that distinction still remains. So now gradually you have to reconceptualize the whole idea that the ability-wise and entrepreneurial capacity-wise, there is no difference in that being a man and a woman. So that idea that they can play a role different than traditionally assigned to them could be changed.
Thank you.
More questions.
Yeah, well, you could be very supportive to give a quote about the work of Women on Wings. You just said, think big, act small. As Women on Wings, we started with a mission to create 1 million jobs for women in rural India. We do that by sharing business knowledge. We started with Satna, a cooperative in Udaipur. We now work with 25 different organizations in rural India. So I'd just like to hear from you what your ideas are about our work.
Well, it's a wonderful work because you're dealing with the women, and particularly in India. When I talk about the problems of women, I have always in mind our region, where completely forgot that there's another half of the mankind which exists, but they don't remember. They have no role except for subservient role that follow the orders of the man. So give them an opportunity to discover herself is a tremendous thing. That's what you're trying to do. And the fact that you have chosen India as your place, you're taking the challenge that it presents. So if you can overcome the problem in India, in the region, like Bangladesh and Nepal and other countries, that will be a transformative thing. It will impact more in general in the whole world. That things can change in a very dramatic way. That's congratulations for that.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Gee, Professor Yunus, it's such a privilege.
Wow.
Gosh. And so, we share this vision that women will affect a lot of change.
Yes.
What little steps could we or the world take to increase the numbers of women entrepreneurs? Apart from the limiting beliefs women have themselves, what can the world do? What kind of steps need to be taken to increase the number of women entrepreneurs?
One is to recognize them as individuals, as persons, because that identity disappeared. So bring it back into that thinking process. Because sometimes, like when we say farmer, you don't think about women farmer, you always think about a man farmer, as if the other kind doesn't disqualify. When you say businessman, the word is a businessman. You never say businesswoman. That was a new introduction because of the pressure coming in. Because original word was a businessman. Because they didn't believe that the woman could be in business. So we have to undo all the things. In a subtle way, we have included that as if those people don't exist in our world. So reclaim that position, that no, we are here, and we have a legitimate role for the world. And people ask me, why do you focus on women? Mm-hmm. This is a very common question. Why Grameen Bank lends money to women? And now I turned it around. I asked the journalist who asked me, I said, have you ever asked any bankers before, why you focus on men? That question was never raised. But globally, that's what it is. Even in Europe, there are restrictions for banks to lend money to women. You have to go and ask permission from your husband before you take a loan. Why? Husband never took permission from wife to take a loan. Why do you reverse that? So those are the questions. It's a built-in our policies, in our thinking. It is done so subtly, we don't even realize that it happens so quietly. So undo those things so that we can come out of the shell and be a full human being. So that's what the challenging part of it. And women, I repeat by saying that, look, we started by doing 50-50. Half of the borrowers in my program will be women because not even 1% of the borrowers in Bangladeshi bank happens to be women. So I wanted to undo that. Undo that by not denying men, saying it will have 50% share in that. But when we achieved, it was a very tough job. It took us 6 years to come to that position. When we achieved that, we saw money going to the family through women brought much more benefit to the family than the same amount of money going to the family through men. So we wondered, what happened? So why are we giving loan to men? If you can transform the family in a dramatic way by addressing the women, why don't you just go through the women? Because after all, that's what your objective is, impact on the family. So we gradually switched. And the results were so outstanding, we kept on moving in that direction. And we came to 97% of the borrowers were men. When idea of microcredit is spread around the world, automatically people moved into the women part, not the male part. And now we do it in the United States. 100% are women because the impact is so clearly different. So women had a very special power, which was never utilized. Impact in the society and the community and the family. So it's time to uncover that and benefit for the whole community and the whole society.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you on behalf of all the men. Thank you.
Thank you.
One last question.
One last question. Oh, my God.
If you're okay.
Okay.
Microfinance is about lending the money. You were saying about the impact.
Mm-hmm.
Would crowdfunding have another impact than lending money or microfinancing?
Yeah, crowdfunding is more to generate money to support actual programs, whether a single institution should be providing the funds or collectively small money pulled together and support a big project. So it's a wonderful idea, crowdfunding. It could be applied in any directions, microfinance, in social business, in profit-making business, any direction. So the question is, which will excite people more? Because after all, you're leaving it to the decision of individual person who will putting you $20, $30, $50, $100. So you provide all the menu, that this is one, you can put your $30 or you can do this, and let them decide which way you want. So that way, people's own desires get expressed. Somebody has $1 billion, they can write a check for $100 million to do something. That's one kind, 1% decision. But to raise $20,000 from 2,000 people is quite a job. You not only you're getting money, you are getting moral support behind what you're doing. So that's a wonderful way to feel the endorsement of so many numbers of people. So don't just count in terms of the money. Mm-hmm. See the number of people who made the decision to put the money in. That's a very important part of it, crowdfunding.